Alrighty. Well, it looks like everything is good to go. Welcome back, or welcome to the live stream. Yeah, if this is your first time catching this, my name is Ed, and I will be doing some drawing tonight. So I've got a list of things I want to get through. So let's just kick it off. But first things first. Well, so yeah, today is kind of special. Today is the 19th of January, which means it's Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared Day. Which, for those who are not familiar with the show, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was a weird YouTube series that sort of appeared like a kid show, like a British kid show, but like everything about it is just off. And I love the hell out of it. It kind of takes all the premises of even the stuff that's relatively cute and benign and, you know, wouldn't necessarily be seen as a threat are quite often just the most creepy and weird things really of all time. So I do a few, warm-ups. So you think, because I draw for a living and I draw pretty much all day, that I wouldn't need a warm-up, but I absolutely do. This is sort of a big part of the process. It sort of helps get into what's quite often referred to as the flow-like state. I'm going to try and, draw these characters sort of a bit from memory. So I switched from ChatGPT to Grok recently because I find ChatGPT to be a bit, it gets very judgmental for some reason. I don't know why. Like I'll type in something and it'll seem like, just normal conversation, and for some reason like it'll just not like it for whatever reason, and just turn it off. And I'm just thinking, okay, So I use these characters as sort of a template. I sort of go through different ideas. So those of you who recognize this particular pose, I'm drawing the red guy like Goofy. So drawing these characters sort of, I guess, more like their Disney counterparts. This is sort of a training, I guess. Like, it's like when I draw like this, it's a little bit like going to the gym. But it's for drawing. Like, you have your warm-up and then you do your sets. And the cool thing about doing a warm-up is quite often it's like a dust-off, it's like a ritual. Big. Ooh. You got to be careful with the lasso tool here. So the duck guy, he's not. He says he's a crow, but I think he's a duck. We get a little pocket square triangle. Little tweed blazer. So I hope everyone out there is doing well. It's been a surprisingly interesting week. but still very much like business as usual. It's one of those weeks, like the Australian winter is comparatively mild and pretty warm, and depending on where in the country you live, pretty hot. Like if you live in North Queensland or the Northern Territory, or even like in the northern part of Western Australia, every day is exactly the same. That's what I love about this huge country. Like everyone's kind of clustered in the eastern states and usually just along the coast and everything. Hardly anyone lives out west. I watched this interesting little discussion, like a podcast discussion, of who's better as an entertainer. You got Michael Jackson or Chris Brown. And this very opinionated Gen Zer seemed to think that Chris Brown was better than Michael Jackson. And the other two podcast hosts were like genuinely shocked. Like, in what universe? Yeah, this kid, he seemed to think that Chris Brown was a better singer and a better dancer than Michael Jackson was. And the guys just had this sort of look of, they were like puzzled as to why he would say such an inflammatory and frankly stupid thing. They even went on to quote that, like, even Chris Brown himself doesn't think he's better than Michael Jackson. Just a weird conversation. So what's something that somebody said to you just, you know, in conversation, or as like, you know, just a statement that's kind of stopped you in your tracks with how stupid it was. And yeah, that weird, you know, hot take about Chris Brown being better than MJ just kind of stopped me in my tracks. And it's also one of those things where you hear it being said and you think, you know what, I'll just jump in the comment section and, you know, give my opinion about this. But then you kind of just sort of stop and think, you know what, I would just be repeating what everybody else has just said. You ever like just go and like you see a video that just annoys you for whatever reason, and you just go straight into the comment section and you just see just how stupid some people think that person is. Yeah, Red Guy is significantly taller in real life because he's being played by an actual guy, whereas the other two characters are just puppets. That's sort of what a big part of what makes Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared so compelling to watch and even rewatch. I played this game yesterday called Don't Watch. It's a Japanese survival horror game, and in it you're supposed to be like this hikikomori guy. So he spends all his time in his apartment, and his friend, who's also a hikikomori, you know, calls him up and says, yeah, our friend, you know, died mysteriously. And, you know, you check the news and stuff, and like, it's an okay game, but you can sort of see where their budget started running out. Like, as a genre, I find survival horror, it can be very hit or miss. So this is sort of a special episode, I guess. So yeah, you play as this Hikikomori guy, and you order a pizza. Some debt collector official sort of bangs on your door. Your friend calls you up out of the blue, just terrified. And you discover, that one of your friends has been, killed. Yeah, it's just kind of dark. But, or unalived. I think that's the word you're looking for. Yeah, it's just a game. So you discover that all is not well in your apartment block, and turns out there's a monster that's roaming the halls, and its abilities boil down to the fact that, like, if you don't look at it, it's powerless. and turn on this layer again. Get rid of these other drawings to sort of free up some space. So you got red guy, you got yellow guy, and you got green guy. Which, interestingly enough, are the same colors as a stop sign. Don't mind me, I'm just looking for references. Kind of made him a bit fat. He definitely suits the vibe of these characters now. So the show, like, I'm pretty sure they've stopped making it at this point, and I don't think there's any plans to bring it back. It's kind of like one of those perfectly self-contained series that once they finish it, they don't need to make any more. And they're like leaving the rest of the loose ends of the show kind of in sort of a state of purgatory. Because that's essentially what Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is. It's kind of like a a fever dream of purgatory. Yeah, we're nearly at the 1 hour mark. Not bad for winging it. Like, it's like the story I always tell when people ask me about how I got into caricaturing. And I've told this story so many times that I basically copied it to memory. And it's essentially like a living journal. And essentially, what happened was back in 2004, I was approached by one of my friends who was studying fine art with me. And he asked if I could draw live at his friend's Christmas party. And I said, yeah. And I rock up. And I wing it the whole way. I couldn't name one person from back then who I remember drawing. But the thing is, like, I wasn't necessarily nervous, but I knew the basic principle behind fake it till you make it. And the thing is, like, I didn't really have to fake it. I just went ahead and did it. That's the other thing, like, I don't particularly like about the whole idea of faking it till you make it, because that doesn't really make sense. It's sort of like, yeah, it's a cute rhyme or whatever, but it's not like something to base a policy on. So today I'll be taking a little bit of a break from drawing the cast of Stranger Things. I'll be focusing kind of more on this. Because I've got a convention coming up. Actually, I got two. And I think about it. Let's see if I can get the inking done on this character before I hit the hour mark. I should be able to pretty quickly. Got to get that productivity up, you know what I mean. That's the thing, I quite enjoy just getting into that flow state. I've shortened that hand just a teeny bit. Made his arm too long. One of the things I love about the old Disney character designs. Alright, I was able to get the inking done on that one. I'm pretty happy. I'm just going to go take a short break. I will be back relatively quickly. Anyway, guys, sorry about that. It took a little longer than expected. So yeah, I got these steel straws from not eBay, from Amazon about a month ago, and trying to get as much use out of them as possible. And the cool thing about steel straws is they are in absolutely no danger of somehow lodging themselves in the nostril of a sea turtle. In fact, I hazard a guess that I will never throw these out. I've always been a big fan of the old Disney cartoons, but the ones I find the most fascinating, the ones that have sort of, I didn't like when I first watched them, but as I've gotten older, they've kind of grown on me in a way that I would have never anticipated had I, realized what they were actually about. But the the cartoons Disney produced, where they started Goofy, the dog, as more human than he normally is. It's a strange, honestly, like, remarkably strange collection of cartoons. Like, for some reason, they just stopped drawing Goofy's ears. Like, sometimes they'll, in some of these cartoons, he'll have ears. In some cartoons, he won't have, like, ears at all. And it's a very jarring design choice. Like, I get it that animating like floppy ears that sort of behave more like sort of ribbons, really sort of eats into the budget you have for animating. Because you got to understand that back when these cartoons were being produced, everything was still being done entirely by hand. There was very little automation involved, and computers were way off in the future. Like, the Disney of the 1950s just would not be able to exist today. Well, I mean, it could, but it wouldn't be nearly as profitable. Like, the Disney of the 1950s would have been bought by the Disney of today, and they wouldn't have, they would not have spent very much on it either. So these cartoons featuring Goofy, like, and some of them, he doesn't even have like the Goofy teeth, like the two, far apart spaced buck teeth that he has in like other versions of him. He looks like a man with the head of an anthropomorphic dog. So you can tell it's Goofy. In fact, the character is Goofy, but he's playing this sort of 1950s, like, working, white-collared, job-having guy. And it's just weird. Like, I get that they were just trying to do something a bit different and sort of make these cartoons that appeal to adults more than kids. And for the most part, it kind of works, but because of Disney's reputation, it also doesn't work at all. It's a very sort of strange balancing act. This is honestly my favorite way to color in. And it's actually my favorite way to draw. So I'm rewatching the movie Nefarious, which I am starting to love even more on rewatching it. Like, it is one of the few outstanding Christian movies that I've ever seen. And the thing about Christian movies is, they are invariably like low budget affairs that have a lot of like bland, inoffensive acting and writing. And if they can get somebody halfway talented, it usually means that their Hollywood career is basically toast. Like Kevin Sorbo, who used to be in the Hercules show from back in the 90s, he stars in a lot of these. And I'm a big fan of Kevin Sorbo. I think he's great. But because of that image of him as Hercules from the legendary Journeys is sort of like still the version of him that I remember the most, seeing him with short hair just bothers me for some reason. Like, in Hercules, you could tell that was Hercules, and he owned that role so much that everything else he's played since then, it just isn't as good. And these Christian movies are no exception to that. But this Nefarious movie, what's his name? Kevin Sorbo isn't in Nefarious. But man, that movie, just the simple like back and forth dialogue between James and Edward is some of the most interesting and honestly hilarious writing that I've seen in a movie script for like forever. So I quite enjoy putting out content on the regular. Getting this particular character right, yellow guy from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, he's like the trickiest. Because like each character, like they each have their own vibe and stuff. So I think everyone's very hyped for the new Superman movie. I personally think it looks great. I think they're doing an excellent job. James Gunn, at least, is doing an excellent job expanding out the DC universe. Because like this slow and deliberate rollout of new characters and like old characters that have been given like their first, proper movie introduction, I think is going to work in DC's favor. Like, I really do. Because the thing about DC compared to Marvel is, while both companies have a lot of superhero IPs, the same characters, you can make movies about them again and again, and it really won't get tiring. Because there's something about Superman that makes him like the archetype of heroes. And there's really no equivalent character in Marvel that sort of comes close to Superman either. Like, yes, they've done crossovers and stuff, and yes, like, he's fought the Hulk, and, depending on which episode of Death Battle you watch, Superman is somehow both undefeatable and easy to kill. It's a strange dichotomy. Of course, like, I only ever watched like Death Battle for the actual animated fights. Like, I don't care about any of the lead up. Because that's like just a lot of stats, and those are mostly for nerds. It's like, oh, this character can do this, and this character has this level of power, and it depends on who wrote the character, and what comic are we talking about, and which alternate dimension universe are these particular versions from, and stuff like that, and you get kind of like this rolling, like, what if scenario where a very simple concept of superheroes from like different universes end up duking it out. But the thing is, they don't really have to go into quite so much detail when they can just flip a coin, or quite often they'll just open up the polls to the subscribers and stuff, and yeah, they'll get their answer that way, and then they'll commission rather, and they'll get that animated and they'll put that up. So whenever a new episode is on their channel, I'll watch it, but I'll skip over, all the lead up, all the ads, all the theory crafting, and the as the Americans call it, fantasy football part of the whole procedure. Because again, like, I'm not a big fan of spoilers. Like, I will literally click away from a video when it starts to sort of delve into spoiler territory. Not because I necessarily want to watch the movie that they're talking about. It's just that, yeah, just don't tell me how this thing ends, Just gonna give this guy slightly longer legs. Made him a little too stocky. Saw this comedian do a bit about how the musical Cats is just a sequence of increasingly bizarre and somewhat cringy and annoying events. And I would agree with that statement. Like, it's just, you know, like my appetite for musical theatre was never that high to begin with. Like, I remember going to a lot of I guess amateur, like, community theatre versions of like these big musicals and stuff. And I remember, like, you know, going to see musicals as a kid, and I remember seeing one. I can't remember what it was called, and the main actors that are sort of the top billed, like, you know, see these people live, these are the people you want to see, weren't in the actual show. It's really, really frustrating because, you know, you pay your money, you rock up there, and the person who's actually in the production isn't in the production. And it's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be here, but like now he's being played by his understudy. His understudy is just as good, no complaints. You know, he knows exactly, you know, what to do, but he's still the substitute teacher. I always found that annoying. Like, you know, and this is back before the internet kind of swallowed everything. Hang on, just give me a minute. Anyway, I will be right back. In just a minute. You'll have to excuse me. So yeah, as I was saying, I don't know why certain days just get this royal treatment. Brush is an absolute favorite of mine. Because it not only creates an excellent pattern for a tweed jacket, but it also creates this really nice optical illusion. Where it tricks your brain into thinking that there's color there. I'm not sure if this guy actually has a So I watched this thing earlier today about Jenna Marbles of all from the internet. You know, and this guy was talking about her like, yeah, she's she decided to memory hole herself. And I'm thinking, yeah, to a degree, but what has likely happened is she's still very much active and online pretty much every day like everybody else, of all like YouTubers and content creators who just retire. Like, they don't quit permanently. They're still on these platforms. They just now just use them as consumers, you know? Because you do get to a point in, you know, your career as a content creator where you don't necessarily have to make stuff anymore. Like, it goes from a hobby to infinitum. Look, I'm just gonna leave them up and I'm just gonna live off the passive income. And that is very cool. That is, like, honestly, if I could think of a better way to make money doing what I love than what I'm currently doing right now, that would be it. I'd be like, you know, hope you guys enjoy watching all the videos that I made a couple of years ago. I'm at a point now in my life where I don't have to make any more. Yeah, I'm independently wealthy enough from all the revenue that these videos bring in for me. That is the coolest thing, in my opinion. Like, if you've got a dream and if you're able to articulate it in such a way that you can, you know, get it across to other people, you know, and be charming and all that fun stuff, then that's the best way to be. And if you can sort of pivot that into making, you know, a name for yourself, even better. Now, strangely enough, I'm not actually happy with that tweed pattern. Like, I spent all that time drawing it, and now I'm just like, ew, hate it. I think also because it clashes with the style I'm using here. Because the Disney characters, they were all, you know, painted and colored, usually with no more than like a single tone. Because again, like the style that we see that is most visually pleasing to us and most easily identifiable as, you know, Disney cartoons was simply developed to be as quick and as stylish and as interesting and as fun to draw. You know, when you're under the pump and you've got to produce a certain amount of footage each day. Because that's what it's like working in animation. Like you're essentially sort of a highly skilled factory worker, and it's your job to blue collar unionist attitudes in, you know, sketch layer finally. Yeah. It's a good 2-hour stint. Complete with multiple breaks, unfortunately. Didn't mean to take quite so many breaks. Well, yeah, I kind of did, but who cares? Yeah, I think I can keep this to a tight 2 hours. I might use the liquefy on this just to make his head a bit bigger. Give him some buttons. He's got the letter D. On his shirt like that. Sure not to forget his little pocket square. And these are nearly done. Around, lurked, or just, you know, I'm just looking for some entertainment. I appreciate it. I really do. Because there is something truly humbling and amazing. My job, basically infinite. Like, I heard that there is enough content, like news, entertainment, information, just data in general, videos uploaded to YouTube that every man, woman and child on the entire planet couldn't watch in a day. The amount of stuff that's just uploaded on YouTube of videos, most of which will, you know, either go completely unseen for whatever reason, accidentally setting it to be seen by anybody, and you know, in the time it takes to ameliorate that problem, like, it's been so long that that video has absolutely no chance of making it into, you know, the front page algorithm. But that's the other interesting thing about YouTube. You can like upload something like 14, 15, 16 years ago, and there will still be an audience for it. That's how amazingly evergreen YouTube is. Like, it is truly amazing. Like, YouTube's one of those platforms that you just think, you know what? Challenge accepted. I'm going to see if I can, you know, make it, you know, and you look around and you see your peers and, you know, they're doing one of two. and I saw, one of the YouTubers that I am subscribed to. He was doing a thank you video on having reached the 20,000. You realize that he's actually been on the platform since 2008. That is 17 years to get where he currently is. And compared to some other YouTubers, that's not high. That's not particularly high at all. Like, there are some YouTubers out there that are so big and so all-encompassing and crushing it on the daily that getting 20,000 subscribers is like a slow news day for them. Give these guys a little bit of a background. Just realized this guy wears a watch. As it gives you a chance to figure out what still needs to be colored in. I'm just gonna thicken out these lines, make a backup copy. Yep. And get rid of these establishing lines, because they're strangely curved and I don't like it when they're strangely curved. saw this other thing today. I found out what the technique that Drew Struzan used to make his movie posters. Like a lot of people, used to think that he was gifted enough to actually draw these photorealistic faces, but he never actually did. He uses this old Renaissance sort of... Is it Renaissance? Maybe it's Renaissance. This particular style of tracing. So the way Drew Struzan, is it Struzan or Struzan frames or whatnot, and he would put them into his projector, and the projector would, recreate the image on whatever canvas he was using. He usually used canvas. Anyway, he would then just trace the image, and he'd place, even like it's kind of striking when you realize that even the guy who helped make these sort of nostalgic dreams that we all have was kind of faking it. Like, he's got Alzheimer's now, so I don't judge the guy too harshly. Like, I mean, the post, stand the test of time. But yeah, the last movie poster he worked on was for a sequel to the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and it wasn't just like, and this is long before the live action remake came out, which incidentally people are very much enjoying, because the voice actors in the original CGI animated version of How to Train Your Dragon actually came back, and yeah, they reprised their roles that they would have been voice acting in. I swear I smell something cooking. Anyway, I'm on a bit of a roll tonight. Doing very well. But in the interest of not burning myself out, I think I will leave it there for tonight. There's still a lot of little niggly bits. So I don't know, depending on how I'm going, I might be back on the weekend. But for now, I'm gonna call it quits. I would like to just express my heartfelt thanks to everyone who watched, lurked, and yeah. So I will be back. How much I still got to do and whatnot. Thanks to everyone who. I think I'm gonna drop TikTok for now, just because I'm still trying to figure out how they're. And I'll see you when I see you.